And welcome back for day 2 of the 2023 College Championship. I'm Daniel Degon Gonzalez, joined today on the desk by Cubby and Hawk for our second semifinal matchup. And Cubby, before we get to you, we have to congratulate Hawk on a fantastic first time out there on the cast. How was it, man?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you know, it may have been a 3-0, but we still got some good games in there. And I mean, I had a blast. The teams, shout out to them for putting up a good fight.
Yeah, Cubby, we've got a whole slate of action today, too.
I'm excited. We've got the newest program here, the only one that has yet to field a championship, going up against the reigning champs in UST, who we feel like have gotten even stronger. Should be a good day.
Oh, yeah. Well, yesterday, we witnessed our first semifinal bout where Maryville swept Winthrop University to advance to the finals 3-0. And guys, that matchup, in Maryville's eyes, lived up to the hype.
It definitely did. I mean, we had questions about how good these teams would really be. Maryville, of course, had a lot of hype coming into the tournament, but we thought Winthrop might be able to step up to the plate. But Maryville played like a team that just qualified for LCS Challengers League, and I mean, it was on full display.
And it's wild to me to think that, you know, Get Back coming in, I felt like was the strongest mid-laner we're going to have in the tournament. He really lived up to that yesterday, as he was the player of the series. And you know, for Maryville to have players like Spyrax and APA, who are now both still on Challengers teams, to get another mid-laner like Get Back who has that pro experience, but who is continuing to step up at this level, really great to see.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just Get Back doing the work there, the man from Adelaide, who was our player of the game, but also a familiar name to those that have been around in the North American space. Odd Orange having multiple games where he was influencing the action and really allowing Get Back to get into those situations.
Definitely a mid-jungle to be feared. Looking forward. And now also want to shout out Denethor over on Winthrop as well. Had a great series. You know, I think shaking off some of the doubts that people might have had about that player. And I mean, the whole team was across the board. Winthrop, they put up a great fight, but really a statement win from Maryville, I think, at the end of the day.
Their weakness for me last year was their map play. Their map play was why they 3-0'd yesterday. Really scary now going into the finals, whoever's going to go up against them.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at what's in store for today with the schedule. We see our second League of Legends semifinals with St. Louis University taking on the defending champions, St. Thomas. The winner will then advance to Tuesday's grand finals versus Maryville. But for the first time ever, the College Championship is also featuring VALORANT, which will hit your screens tomorrow with Winthrop versus Fisher College Navy in the loser bracket final. The winner of that will face off against the final boss, Northwood University, on Wednesday. And of course, all of the action will be available online, but you can join us here in studio live to see the best collegiate players in the nation for free. Doors open every day at 11 with the show starting at 12 p.m. Pacific. So make sure to get on over here. But let's kick off today's discussion with the new kids on the block, St. Louis University, and Winnie's impression of the tournament so far.
Yeah, so I've played in a lot of different levels of competition, and regardless of my status, regardless of favorites, regardless of, you know, what the outside, you know, crowd might think, I know my own individual ability, I know my teammates' abilities to perform at specific levels, and I know that coming into this tournament, there's no expectations on us. I know what we're capable of, but obviously you don't want to let that level of pressure, you know, affect your confidence, influence any things that, you know, might happen on match day. So going to this, no extra pressure at all. I know what I'm capable of. I know what my team is, and I know that we're going to perform when it matters, and when a lot of these other, you know, top dogs are going to choke. So yeah, I think that, you know, we'll definitely have a really strong showing this weekend.
So Winnie, with a lot of experience for St. Louis University with this time over at University of Western Ontario, but this organization, this esports program, St. Louis University, just founded a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to see that they're already feeling so confident. You know, the team's already made it further than they ever have in the collegiate championship, making this top 4, getting to the LAN for the first time ever. So already props to them. But the fact remains that they are the underdogs. They didn't win their conference. They're coming in having lost to Maryville in the North Conference Finals. And even though they were a 1 seed for the collegiate championship, they've got their work cut out for them.
It's interesting, too, just the dichotomy between Maryville and St. Louis University, because they actually are from the same town. And I know from talking with Q, the director for St. Louis, Maryville and Corky actually had a big impact on even just the founding and creation of their program. Also, SLU, they're the only team that has taken a game off of Maryville so far. So if they win today against the defending champions, they do have a chance to go up against almost their big brother in the finals for Maryville, as it would be a crosstown battle out here in LA.
Yeah, and just to continue to hit home the fact that they are the new kids on the block, this is the only program in the tournament still left that hasn't won a CLOL championship. So looking for their first one here as we take a look at the roster here, because all the players have had challengers experience this season as the leagues kind of go coinciding with each other, and they still were able to come together and make it to the top 4.
Yeah, so Vital played last split for Immortals Academy, and then Strompest has background with FlyQuest way back in 2018, 2019.
Yep.
But everyone else, yeah, they were competing this past split on provisional teams, and specifically Winnie and SkyTec, they were on AOE Esports. They helped them successfully re-qualify for LCS Challengers League, this upcoming split, and we are really putting that focus on Winnie as he is the leader of this team.
He very much is. I mean, he is the tank commander for this squad. They live or they die by what Winnie is able to do so much of the time. A player that is very aggressive, likes to play both to himself and to his lanes, and that's definitely going to be where SLU finds the most footing, is probably off the back of this player.
Yeah, again, formerly of University of Western Ontario, just rank 1, I think his player card said, season 11. Winston, the artist formerly known as Winston, definitely one of those guys that this team is going to need to get going there. And actually, I think we might have a little bit more information on how he got to where he's at right now, right, Cubby?
Yeah, so, I mean, I was lucky enough to actually be able to reach the scrim bullpen. And, you know, gamers, they can sometimes be just a little messy.
Okay.
So actually have a scrap of paper here that was left over. Guess what, guys? That's actually Winnie's schedule. Who would have thought, you know, these guys actually do go to class. So a little bit crumpled up, as, you know, gamers do. But hey, kick things off. History 225. What do we have here? Canada's political, social, and economic development. Unfortunately, that was actually registered under Winston, so he can't attend that class anymore. He's at St. Louis University now, it's fine. Next up, Basketball 101. Might as well have an elective and, you know, get some exercise in.
3 hours of basketball?
3 hours. I mean, Winnie goes hard. Him and AOE, they actually would play basketball quite a bit around here, as they spent the last split here in LA. And Winnie, I mean, he walks around with a basketball sometimes. He does love the game. Good time with the finals going on at the moment, too. Next up, Winnie, major project management. We have designing the organization for execution, also a capstone program. Not only is he helping his own university in St. Louis, but he was actually outsourced helping a company, Area of Effect Esports. Not bad. Next up, you know, coming from Canada, got to help educate, you know, some of the fellow St. Louis people, you know, Americans. Team dinner at A&W. Canadian chain, also local. Last up, we actually have one more edition. It's a late class. You know, sometimes things do run late. This is actually Winnie's hardest course. It comes in project risk management. Had to recruit SkyTec to help him. Pretty much for Winnie, there's really no fight that he's ever looked at he doesn't like. So sometimes he doesn't get the best grades in this, but hey, with SkyTec now with him here at St. Louis, he's gonna be doing much better. We're gonna see how that looks today.
Wow, I didn't realize all that. Also, in a previous life, I also worked in risk management. So maybe that's something I can help Winston out with, Winnie with a little bit later. All right. Facing off against Winnie in the jungle is a familiar name to the LCS fans in Dardoch, who had to say this about St. Louis University.
I respect most of their players on the roster. I do think that their jungler, Winnie, is very good. I've competed against him, played against him for quite a long time, especially in solo queue over the years. I actually coached their top laner when I was the coach for Immortals Vital. I coached him personally, so I know he's very skilled as well. Other than that, I can't really speak for the other players. But I do think those two are very skilled, and we will have our work cut out for us in those roles for sure. But I'll be lying if I didn't think we were the stronger team.
Oh, Josh, never change. We got 2 out of the 5 getting respect here.
Yeah, it's pretty level-headed, you know, pretty tame. I like the respect shown to the competition, but I mean, the fact remains, UST, they're the reigning champs coming into this tournament. And Cubby, I know you were covering CLOL last year, and it was in pretty dominant fashion that they were able to win as well, taking down Bay State College at the time 3-0 in the finals.
And the true final for us was the semis, where they did take down Maryville 3-1, winning the last 3 games after a pretty epic Game 2 comeback, led by Shogo, who is returning. But it's ridiculous to think that a team that added Dardoch in the jungle and also AIRREN behind the scenes as a coach, like they weren't there for that first championship run, and now you have 2 players that are respected not only in collegiate, but also mostly for their time in Academy and LCS. It's ridiculous to think that they've actually have them for this run, as we think they've come in stronger.
Yeah, you see the path that they took there, beating down Butler over in the Big East. Fisher College almost had the double like Winthrop did, having a team in the top 4 for League of Legends and for VALORANT. But this is a squad here that leveled up with Dardoch, leveled up with AIRREN as the coach, leveled up with Daption joining on in, but they're still returning 3 guys that went the distance last year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just it's such a well-rounded roster from top to bottom, and it's crazy, as Cubby sort of alluded to, that it almost feels like they've upgraded. Dardoch coming in has added so much stability with his play to the jungle. I know it sounds weird to say, but like the way he plays just allows UST to move around the map the way that they want to.
And for me, I really actually feel like Dardoch's grown. It's a little bit of stability behind the scenes, too. He is the most vocal person on this team, and you can see his jersey looking a little bit different than the others. He was actually voted team captain by his peers. So earning the respect of his peers, I think, is something that, I mean, Dardoch's always been a competitor, sometimes too competitive for his own good, but I feel like where he's really grown is that in collegiate, he understands, like, hey, not everyone is going to be playing at my level, at this level. And he's been working with his team to make sure that they are ready to go for this event. And it's going to be behind his calls. So we'll see what he can bring to UST in this series.
All right. Well, again, he's not the only player that is dominant and very confident, we could say, on this roster.
Always.
Returning AD carry, current reigning champ of the bot lane, Shogo, also coming back here.
Yeah, this guy, he's pretty dang good at League of Legends. And I was also hanging out around the Scrim bullpen, and I happened to find, I also found a coupled up piece of paper. I know, it's really weird. I don't know what these guys are leaving around, but look at that. It's also a class schedule. So let's head on over here. And let's look at what Shogo's taking over at the University of St. Thomas. He's got an 8 a.m. class. He's got one more. This one was recommended by his director. Said he needed it. Humility in the modern era. Well, Shogo, he neglects to take this one. Still as confident and cocky as ever. But advanced bot lane mechanics, he does show up to that one. I think it's fair to say the best bot lane amongst the pack here. He is performing at the top of his game. As a business major, of course, he's got to take Rift Economics 101 and business management, improving his ability to make money and lead the team. But finally, if you don't know Shogo, as Shogo, you might know his stream persona, Greg. His final class is, of course, American history. He's gotten well invested studying overseas here with barbecue, fireworks in the middle of the night, all that kinds of American stuff. And I mean, gentlemen, this player for UST, he's definitely outspoken, and he backs it up with his play.
He's dominant. I'm just still stunned that you guys are all running kleptomancy without me. You know, like that actually got removed from the game. All right. You know, this schedule all makes sense, but I still don't understand that 8 a.m. class reference. Can you expand on that for me, Hawk?
You know what? I don't need to. Let's just let the tape say it.
I am the one who talks shit on everybody. And I'm the one who like has this ego and has this, you know, play style that revolves around him. And like, that's just what I do, is like draw attention, be the main focus of everybody. Last year, I will say it out loud, I think we won because of me. So if the same thing happens this year, this will definitely mark me as like the king of collegiate and the face of CLO, whatever you want to call it. I'm that guy.
I mean, you know, if this would have just been an audio file, I'd be like, wow, we got Dardoch in the jungle, Dardoch down in bot lane. I won because of me. And guess what? Me is back. Shogo is back. And you can see the tweets right there. He backs it up with some of the social aspect. And SkyTec responding right back. Yeah, you know, that one right there.
SkyTec, we talked to him yesterday. He did tell Shogo on our podcast to stick to tweeting. So that's the trash talk going back and forth between these players.
Love it.
I want to see what's going to happen down here on the bottom side of the map. All right, prediction time. Who you got? We'll go with you first.
All right, you know what? I'll start it off maybe a little bit spicier than people are expecting. I'm taking UST, but 3-2. I think UST, they've had time to scrim. They've been playing together, and they were boot camping. I think they've had the time to level up. Winnie said they finally feel like a team, and with the names on this roster, I think they can really push the reigning champs.
Gentlemen sweep. Shogo's too good.
All right. I've got 3-1 here with UST. AIRREN. The AIRREN difference. Give me that. One player's name that will be the difference maker today? Only one.
Winnie.
Ooh, Shogo.
All right, I think it has to be Shogo.
No.
All right, guys, we have set you up for this matchup. It's time to get into it. The second semifinal begins now. Let's send it on over to our casters, Joushi and Grapes, for the action.
Thank you very much, Degon, and welcome everybody to day 2 of the Collegiate Championship, our second semifinal matchup of the weekend between St. Louis University and the University of St. Thomas is about to get underway. I am Andrew Graves-Howe. It is a pleasure to be joining you here on the Riot stage for the first time, and joining me here is Joshua Joushi Howard. Joushi, it's gonna be a fun time.
It's good to be back. I'm glad to have you here on the first time. Again, let's give a round of applause for Graves for coming out and being in the studio for the first time. But it's not about us, it's about the teams today. So let's go ahead and get them on the rift.
Yeah, let's get them up here. Starting off on the blue side, it's St. Louis University. This team is battling for their first finals appearance, and hailing from St. Louis, Missouri, they've already made their second in the second year of the program, making top 4. All 5 of their players have played on the semi-pro stage, and they're ready to make another presence known here on the Riot Games arena. Boot camping over the last couple of weeks, they're looking for their first championship. Let's take a look at the players. Starting off in the top lane, piercing the heart of his enemies, it's Vital. In the jungle, it's the king of the jungle, Winnie. In the mid lane, the silent killer, Strompest. Balling out in the bot lane, AIRREN. And cooking it up at support, Chef SkyTec.
And of course, their opponents, your defending champions hailing from Houston, Texas. It is the University of St. Thomas, with 3 out of 5 of their members returning from that championship. These guys went undefeated in the Southern Conference. And on their way here, they've only dropped a single game up against Fisher College in the round before. But now they're looking once again for their back-to-back championship. The way these guys have played has been fantastic. We also got to go look at them again up in the top lane. The Houston Blaster, we got Porsche coming through. He recognizes that. In the jungle, the cavalry coming over the horizon. Their new team captain, Dardoch. In the mid lane, the control mage extraordinaire, and again, the #1 ketchup enjoyer in the world, it's RobbyBob. Now in the bot lane, you know he's good on Twitter, but he's even better on the Rift. It's Shogo. And their new player, hand-picked rookie support, coming in for their first play in Collegiate. It is Daption.
Winner advances to the finals. The loser has their journey end today. St. Louis, UST, starting right now.
It's been the talk of Collegiate kind of the whole year. UST's looking to run it back. That's been our expectation and our goal the entire time.
You know, last year, I will say it out loud, I think we won because of me. There's a lot of people watching me specifically, and I'm the one who like has this ego and has this, you know, play style that revolves around him. That's just what I do, is like draw attention. It's what I like doing. I've done that my whole life.
No extra pressure at all. I know what I'm capable of. I know what my team is, and I know that we're going to perform when it matters. A lot of these other, you know, top dogs are going to choke.
Our expectation the whole season is to win and repeat the championship, so it has to be a failure if we don't win. We will have our work cut out for us, but I'll be lying if I didn't think we were the stronger team.
I see the other 3 teams as really established. We're kind of the new face, but on stage, I feel like we can beat any of them so easily. We have the players to do it, and just you wait.
Just such an exciting matchup. We had our sweep yesterday, but I feel like this might be a little bit closer. And the school that we're seeing on our screens right now, St. Louis, they're the new dogs, but they're going to come in with a fight. Just look at the talent top to bottom on that team.
I mean, you got to look at it, right? They are coming in as a little bit of the younger brother to Maryville, to all these other schools. This is a relatively new program, and as they said on the desk, the only school here who has yet to win a collegiate championship. They look ready to go. We've seen all of these players in the academy and the challenger scene previously. We know that they are good enough to be here. We know that they're going to be giving a strong attack here up against the defending champs.
And what a moment for the director, Chu. You know, starting off this program just a couple of years ago, now given a talk to his roster on the Riot Games stage. It must be such an incredible moment for this universities, and I really hope that they put up a fight. We also see Doxa and T-Some, other players that have had experience in the space, and they're ready to go.
They're ready to go. I'm ready to go. These guys are ready to get onto the Rift. And as we start going into this, it is a reminder that we are still playing here on patch 13.9. We don't have all the new changes that have come through on 13.10, so we get to see exactly what was going to be going on during the pro play. And we know Grapes, Melio been a major pick for both these teams, if they can ever get it.
Yeah, we know Daption's a big Enchanter player, would love to get his hands on that. SkyTec can kind of play a little bit of everything, but
fluid.
With SLU being on the blue side, I would expect a Melio ban no matter what.
Yeah. Now, we have seen a couple of things behind the scenes of potential counter picks to and fun strategies. But again, I kind of want to zoom in a little bit on the two players that are going to be dominating most of the early game in this. And those are going to be our two junglers, right? Winnie has had a lot of experience, most recently for AoE. And Dardoch, I mean, the only player on here who has had an extensive time to play in the LCS, now taking on another challenge here in Collegiate. And both these players are very, very aggressive. They both love fighting. They both love going for some of these early invades. And if one of them can find an edge over another, that's going to set a huge tempo difference this game.
And not only that, priority in the bot lane is going to be crucial as well. We set up Shogo as being this main character. AIRREN and SkyTec are a formidable duo on their own as well, and that has been the style that SLU has gone to over the past couple of weeks when they've been playing in this championship bracket. Use Winnie's aggression to impact the bottom lane. Definitely going to be important against, again, one of the best players that we have left in top 4.
Oh, yeah, and we know that both these junglers also love playing towards the bot lane, right? I mean, that's how you played the whole spring. That's what you did. You played the Maokai, you played the Vi, you just go down to attack the bottom lane, and this is going to be another opportunity for both of them. But one of the things that I have heard is that Dardoch was talking a little bit about his relationship with Winnie. One of the things that he said was, Winnie still knows that I'm better. I'm going to get in his head in game 1, and it's going to be a fast series. And I'm actually a little bit surprised. We were talking about our predictions about how this series was going to go. I saw a couple of 3-1s on there. You and I said that that was not possible.
We feel like this is going to be close, 3-2 series, or one of the teams going to get off on the right foot and keep that momentum riding all the way to a sweep. But, you know, Degon and Cubby had some other ideas. We're on to the draft for game number 1. SLU starting off with a Kog'Maw ban, already showing respect towards Shogo.
Yeah, I mean, he is the guy, right? The guy who said, I felt like I won the championship all by myself. We had, you know, Robbie and Porsche there, but it was all about this. And we are seeing a lot of different bans, right? This Karthus actually is going to be forcing the Melio ban coming through. It is one of the ways that we have seen a lot of teams try and counter it. But as a Melio ban does come through, it does kind of force St. Louis to show what else it is that they want to try and do to create some space on this map. And I think it might actually be a spot where they're probably going to try and save Vital's pick for as late as possible in the draft to potentially get a counter pick topside.
Vital, very well known on those fighters. Up against Porsche, you know, likes to play a little bit more on that weak side. It's something that St. Louis is going to have to push through if they want to have this victory over the defending champions. And I would definitely expect to see a counter pick of some sort if they're able to get their hands on it. We're seeing a Lucian ban again. An interesting thing that I noticed yesterday is that Jinx priority not as high as we maybe were expecting, maybe that we saw back in MSI last time we saw 13.9.
Yeah, it actually feels as though on 13.9 it's actually pretty wide open, especially at this level of play, right? We know Shogo is a big Draven player, but the Jinx already selected here. SLU, they're showing the Jinx priority right off the bat. I'm actually kind of shocked to see this Cassante coming out so early. We know Porsche is largely a tank player, but this is going to guarantee that SLU will get at least one counter pick.
2 picks on my mind right now. Fiora, Gwen. Things that Vital can certainly pull out. We see a Wukong out of Dardoch was incredible on this champion throughout the year on Team Fish Taco and also on UST.
Yeah. And it's also one of these big picks going up against Winnie, right? He loves to play this as well, but he was mostly known for a lot of his Vi and Maokai play in particular during the Challengers League, where he was able to dictate a lot of these fights. But Wukong feels like a character that doesn't need as much setup. They usually are the setup. They're usually the ones creating things for the rest of the team. And this is a big front line that SLU is going to have to chew through.
Well, they got a good bot laner to do it, right? The Jinx, as we mentioned earlier on, going to come through. SkyTec on the Lulu, most likely, here to give AIRREN a little bit of extra firepower. Shogo, again, down in the bot lane. Gonna have a pretty safe matchup against St. Louis.
And the one thing I do want to focus on here, right, as we wait for what is probably going to be Winnie's pick, is what the mid laners are likely to do, right? We haven't talked about them quite as much, and it is going to be the Olaf. This was a classic counter pick into the Cassante earlier on, but Strompest and RobbyBob are both players that are mostly known for their control mage play, right? Strompest is basically synonymous with Ryze and Azir over the years, whereas Robbie has been a huge player of things like the Victor and the Lissandra in more recent times. And of course, we can never forget Azet. If there's ever an opportunity for it, you know he'll bring it out.
They're going to save the solo lane, at least in the mid lane here for UST, to the second phase of picks. The Aphelios going to match the Jinx. UST still need to select a support for Daption, while on the SLU side, they already have probably a top laner picked up for Vital, but who really knows?
Yeah, there you go. You got a fan out there. That's LCS caster Rafa, by the way. And as we start going into this one, we are going to the second half. We do have a very powerful front to back coming in from kind of both sides of the map, right? You got this Olaf, who's not necessarily going to be the tankiest member, but is going to be creating a lot of pressure because he can run through all the crowd control that Porsche and Dardoch are trying to push his way. Whereas on the other side of the map, the big thing that SLU is going to need is they need just a little bit more burst to guarantee that Jinx gets that first kill and can start popping off. Jinx with resets, best character in the game. Jinx without resets, it's okay.
We'll see. They see the Victor already taken away from RobbyBob. Maybe a Ryze van on the other side. Ryze not necessarily the most strong champion, but when Strompest is on the team, you always have to put a little bit of respect towards him. Yeah. Winnie playmaking still going to be a big factor. We see the Vi taken away. That's a big. That was a big pick for him, especially in the first half of the season of Challengers.
Yeah, and LeBlanc has been something that Strompest has been playing for a long time as well, and it really shuts down some of those opportunities for burst coming out from Strompest. But it does kind of raise the question. I'm kind of expecting Strompest to go towards something like a Syndra, right? You get that burst in, you have another character that's going to be scaling, you have a new magic damage source, and it creates a lot of threat just whenever you start going for some of these setups. That has been something that the collegiate teams have sometimes been struggling with, as it is a Soraka coming through for Daption. I know that this guy is one of the best enchanter players in the collegiate system, but now he's going to be bringing out to make sure his front lane does not fall.
Make sure Shogo stays alive as well, right? This is going to really help the team fight power of University of St. Thomas. This Udyr pickup is something that has been experimented with a little bit, at least behind the scenes. We'll see an Annie potentially hovered and locked in. Strompest, I haven't seen him play a lot of Annie, but it makes a lot of sense for his playstyle.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of different ways to play it. I actually wonder if he's going to go towards a more bursty style with something like a Ludens or a Rocket Belt, or he even has opportunities to go towards the Leandres and more of a burn build. You just throw Tibbers in and just say, hey, deal with this. You get grievous wounds across the entire team. But now we got to see what it is Winnie's going for, and I was really excited about some of those picks, but it is going to be the Boar coming through. Classic matchup. We saw this yesterday. I don't know if you remember. I think it was in Game 3. Frost Forest turning it around on auto and with the Wukong in the jungle.
It's a matchup that we saw yesterday. Last pick settled for RobbyBob. Looking at some of those mages, as we were alluding to, the Syndra would make a lot of sense on his side as well.
Yeah. Now, the big thing I'm going to be looking at here is the difficulty that SLU is going to have to actually punch through all of the healing that is coming out from the side of UST. The Soraka makes it so difficult for the Annie burst combo to come through. The rest of your characters are going to be doing damage over time, and that is the perfect situation for Soraka to pop off in these situations. I think this is going to be an uphill battle, and you and I were saying, Graves, that earlier, whether or not the series was going to be close was going to be very much on how SLU is looking today. I feel like they're setting themselves on the back foot to start things off, and so I'm looking in particular at how Winnie and Strompest can move around the map to get AIRREN and Vital ahead.
You mentioned the burst damage that SLU would need to get that first reset for AIRREN. Strompest can do a little bit of damage, but across the rest of the map, not a ton. That is going to be important. I mean, RobbyBob had the Syndra on the other side, so that pick was open for SLU, but they're thinking that just the straight front-to-back team fight is going to get them the win here.
Yeah. It's a tough spot for both of these squads, but again, we'll see what we actually have. We have the defending champions in UST. They are ready to go. They got a strong jab for themselves, and as we take a look, people are getting loaded onto the Rift. This is going to be the first opportunity that these teams have gone up against each other in a while. And it's worth noting, SLU has only ever taken a series off these guys once.
I believe that was Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia led.
Invitational of some sort. Best of 3 series going their way. The other times all remote. And UST coming out on top
on all of them. So we know that a lot of these players also have stage experience, right? Which is really, really big. I was talking to some of them before, and some of them are like, yeah, I get so nervous when I'm up on stage at first.
And we saw that maybe play a factor yesterday. A lot of the younger players on Winthrop not delivering to the level that we saw throughout the entire season. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. I know Winnie and SkyTec, when we talked to them yesterday, said that having that stage experience is going to be what takes them to that next level. But there's experience through the roof. UST, St. Louis University, on to the Rift we go. Winner moves on to the finals on Tuesday to play up against Maryville. We're here for game number 1.
And already, we're seeing a 5-point already coming through, and UST being a little bit more aggressive down here in the bottom lane. Now, something that we have heard from both of these sides is the way that they actually have set up for some of their scrims, right? They weren't necessarily teams that had the most opportunities to get practice in before this, right? A lot of these players were playing in the Challengers League. A lot of these players did have other commitments, and so they're both coming together as a lot of strong players. And we have heard that SLU has been doing well behind the scenes, but it doesn't matter how you do in scrims. It's all about what you do on stage.
There's a ton of, confidence coming out of St. Louis University, and their support, SkyTec, had this to say about the competition that is here at the Collegiate Championship.
To be honest, I see the other 3 teams as really established teams in the industry, and we're kind of the new face. But deep down, I've been playing this game for a long time, and I know they're all kind of frauds. We're not really good at scrimming, so the scrim results may not show, but on stage, I feel like we can beat any of them so easily. We have the players to do it, and just you wait.
Wow.
Man, that's a bold word.
Wow, those
Fraud.
are bold words. Frauds, he says. This is going to be an opportunity for SkyTec to try and showcase that, but we do see an early invade coming out from St. Louis, and Vital seeing a couple axes crucially, but he's got a lot more sustain than Porsche.
Getting that topside priority, going to be big, especially because it's going to be difficult now for Dardoch to make his way around that area with the invade being successful out of Winnie. I wonder if Dardoch goes for a vertical clear here.
He has to know what's going on, and this is one of those things that will be pushing Dardoch down towards the bottom side, where we're saying UST has potentially their strongest member in Shogo.
Oh, no, hold on. Might not just be the vertical jungle. Winnie's going to cross map across the mid lane. So RobbyBob going to spot him out, land a sphere onto the Sejuani, but just ensuring that the red buff of the blue side will be secured.
Yeah, and Strompest doing everything he can to make sure that he has enough priority to move into his bottom side of the jungle, and it does look as though Winnie might be miles ahead early on in this, and that forces Dardoch into something a little bit more crazy. It doesn't look like they were ready for that invade, and now as Dardoch moves over, oh, he's going towards the Dragon Pit. He's going to hop the wall.
Winnie, crucially, didn't actually take the red buff. It was just the Raptor camp, thinking that that would be enough to deter Dardoch from going forward. But, you know, the experienced jungler calling the bluff. He's going to get that vertical clear that we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he's level 3. Winnie's still only level 2 after clearing the Raptor camp. That's going to put Dardoch in a fantastic position to start controlling. And AIRREN and SkyTec, we were saying that this was going to be a lane where Shogo in particular could really kind of strut his stuff later on, right? He has been one of the most solo-killingest AD carries in the collegiate space. And look how far forward he's been.
He's playing so aggressive and knows that Dardoch is on his side as well. AIRREN getting hit by the root. Nice block by SkyTec to prevent any other damage from going down.
This dive is very doable, actually. You got to go for AIRREN because there's no heal or barrier coming out in the Jinx.
Let's see who's going to start things off. The silence already connecting. AIRREN is so chunked. In comes Dardoch. The crushing blow secures first blood for UST. Teleport coming in. It will be Strompest to keep SkyTec alive. But UST, there might be in a bit of trouble. Daption has the Ignite ticking on top of him, but now Dardoch is the one facing in. But Shogo comes forward, flashes in, and takes out 3 members of St. Louis.
It's a double kill going over to Shogo, the one player you can't afford to be giving gold this early on. The dive was immaculate coming through from UST, and now Winnie pressured to do something on the top side, but this dive isn't easy.
Let's see. Ghost already used here by Porsche to knock up in the early burst, and now Winnie has to flash away. RobbyBob will be here to collect the remainder of the wave. Scatter the Weak not connecting onto Vital, so there's no kills in response.
All right, good job. They at least get the 1 kill in response here on the top side, and that will put Vital in a strong position. But man, this bottom side was a bit of a disaster. Look at how well they play this, right? I love the fact that Daption is able to walk up, create some pressure onto AIRREN by hitting both these abilities, basically guaranteeing everything else comes through from Shogo. And Dardoch doesn't have to use the E, he doesn't need to dash in, he just uses the crushing blow for the extra range. And here after this, Strompest on this Annie, not able to get enough damage down onto Daption. Shogo can come right on back in. He's got the grab jump gun. You're not leaving once you flash it.
And we talked about Shogo so much over the past couple of minutes while we were in the pregame, while we were at the analyst desk. And Daption knows that they just gave the biggest player in this tournament a huge lead.
Yeah, and now Winnie trying to shut them down. They already recognize that they have been chunked out. Strompest showing on vision, so UST knows this is happening. This feels like a lot of time being spent that isn't going to result in anything. UST, I mean, already at 1,500 gold ahead this early on in the game. And again, Shogo, I mean, we said he's loud on Twitter, but he's even louder with his gameplay. I'm looking for as soon as the item spikes start coming through, he's going to start looking to try and pressure AIRREN whenever SkyTec roams up to try and help out with the Rift Guard.
Going to be happening in a couple of minutes. You see already a 1.2 thousand gold lead going the way of our defending champions. Doesn't seem like they missed much of a beat here, back on the LCS stage for the first time since they hosted that trophy.
Yeah. Now, I am very curious as well. I hadn't looked at this, but a Vital is now coming down. RobbyBob under some threat.
Does have flash. Ulti as well. Strompest does not have the Tibbers, but the stun will connect. It's just a little bit of a chunk as Robbie will stay alive.
That chunk might be really big though, right? Strompest, having lost a fair number of minions trying to go for these roams, is fairly close to hitting level 6, and every little bit of damage puts you that little closer to being 100-0 by the end. But RobbyBob knows he just needs to get this in, and as we also see Dardoch starting up the dragon, he's got so much pressure in both the mid lane and bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty hard for SLU to do anything in response, and because of that, Winnie trying to take his attention towards the top side. A lot of really strong points for UST, but Vital does have that kill, and this is an advantageous lane for him.
This is an advantageous spot. But one of the things that I have heard from previous director of UST Pelto was actually that he's pretty convinced that SLU, despite how well they oftentimes play in scrims, they're not very clutch, right? And as the dragon does go over here, we're seeing Winnie wait for the opportunity to go for Porsche.
Let's see, already spotted on the ward, a nice dash, and the undertow, not gonna land a damn thing.
Yeah, and that's just kind of what has been happening to this team, right? We were saying they were on the back foot, that we didn't know if they had enough burst, and now that the one player, the bottom lane, that need to not have a head, look at this. I mean, UST just giving over a couple of plates here to Shogo. There's no response coming out from AIRREN and SkyTec, and I don't want to call it just quite yet, but I'm already starting to think, like, what are we going to be seeing in the next game? SLU, it feels like their early game plan just got shut down because Winnie wasn't able to defend his jungle from Dardoch.
Yeah, it was interesting. Went to the enemy Raptor camp and just skip the red buff. The whole point of the cross map is that you get both the buffs, secure that three buff clear, that 3 quadrant clear as quickly as you possibly can. But Dardoch, again, just reading right through it, and looks like AIRREN and SkyTec were not expecting it at all.
Yeah. Ooh. SkyTec walking up, not going to be challenged here by Shogo. But yeah, that goes back to what we were saying, right? Dardoch was so convinced he had gotten in to Winnie's head in all their previous matchup that this would be a perfect opportunity to try and crush him mentally early. And now Dardoch is hovering towards the top side. He's going to go for a gank. Yeah, there's a ghost.
Here we go. Vital still has the Ragnarok. Not going to use it just yet, but he's in a whole lot of trouble. Can he burst down Porsche before he goes down? Doesn't look like it's going to be the case. It is UST's jungler securing the kill.
And great stuff from Porsche going in, knowing the limits, able to get out with Casante's E, and SLU still not able to find a whole lot of purchase into this game. And again, it feels like Dardoch has been running the map basically the entire time. He goes bottom lane, finds a dive. He goes down, he finds a dragon. Now he's going to be going towards a Rift Herald as well. And Winnie, he can't contest this all by himself. This is such a huge opportunity for UST to blow this game wide open.
Yeah, and there's really no response on the other side of the map as well. Daption and Shogo already hitting level 6, so getting constant shove in. Winnie actually gaining control over the Rift Herald pit, but now maybe a response from Dardoch.
Yeah. RobbyBob is killed up, right? Remember that burst we were talking about?
Strompest has no idea. Okay, there's the dash forward. Dardoch will be able to get away. In the meantime, Winnie kind of taking this Herald for free.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that this has been happening, right? But Porsche was able to, or was forced to back away because of how much damage they did to themselves and how much damage they took from Vital, that Winnie felt confident enough to actually go for the 1v1, and Dardoch was like, yeah, okay, I believe you. I know you have enough support coming through from Strompest, but this is, again, one of the teams where we're kind of looking at the mid-jungle duo from Winnie and Strompest. They were very convinced that they had the strongest mid-jungle in the entire tournament, and so far, hasn't been showing.
You wonder maybe Winnie finding a play mid, dropping that Rift Herald, getting some plates onto the Annie.
Yeah.
Remember, for the Jinx resets, Strompest is going to be the biggest key, not in enough of a lead in order to put SLU into an advantageous state so far.
Yeah. And so, as we start looking towards the next dragon in about 2 minutes, the big question is going to be, is SLU feeling strong enough, right? Most of their characters will not be on an entire item at that point. Most of them will still be waiting, whereas you take a look at UST, I got the Gale Force coming in from Shogo. Dardoch has the Divine Zonderer already, and Wukong is so good at snowballing. I'm pretty confident that SLU will have to give up this next dragon. But, to quote Cubby, he said this probably 4 times today already, Winnie has never seen a fight he doesn't like.
And he likes probably fighting around that dragon, don't you think? I mean,
that is a fight.
It's going to be hard to get priority around that area, though. You see Shogo already has a Gale Force completed.
Yeah.
It's just so scary to walk up to this Titan, both because of the items, but also just the name that he's been able to build for himself over this year.
Yeah. I love listening to Shogo, right? He's very happy we're playing here on 13.9, not 13.10.
Oh, yeah.
Watch his Twitter. He's not a huge fan of the newest patch, but we already see UST in total control of the bottom side of the map. And SLU, they're trying to really put AIRREN in a spot where he will have some money. They're sending him towards the top side where there's no contest coming through from UST, but I mean, look what's happening to Vital, man. This guy, when he was playing for Immortals, had some success towards the end of the season, but it doesn't even look like he's able to flex that right now. He's not able to get into the Kazante matchup.
And they're putting the person that was ahead for St. Louis in a really terrible spot. You can see he's not even able to walk up to his own turret because you see Dardoch and the bot lane of UST there. SLU have to make a play on the other side. They're forcing Porsche out as well, but still, a big win for UST. They're going to secure this first tower, no problem.
Yeah, as that first tower goes down, we get a couple of plates in exchange for AIRREN, but remember the Dragon is coming up very soon as well for UST to go for. And Dardoch, I mean, he's pushing the final round between two turrets.
It's just so hard to play if you're Vital, getting locked up by the stun as well. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, and it's full control in the bottom lane for UST. And now Vital might actually go down before that fight even begins. Flash away from the second proc of the Cyclone, but Dardoch flashes instead and secures another kill for his team.
Strompest not able to find his way. Oh, no way.
Back in, here's the Tibbers. Not a lot of arm this year on Dardoch. He's healing so much. The Wish gonna keep him up. Tibbers, can he do enough damage? Dardoch at less than 100 HP, and Winnie gonna be around to make sure that the jungler will not be able to escape.
That was really close with Daption's Wish coming through, trying to keep them alive, but man, just watching him get beat to death by a bear. Some people know too much about that, but this is still so much pressure coming through from UST. The Dragon is still up because Dardoch went so deep trying to find that play, and the top turret still hasn't fallen. This is still an overall win for St. Thomas because they can reset with all the money they picked up and come back on. But now we'll take a look at how this actually all started, right? As Dardoch comes through, Vital, he's like, maybe he's finally gone. He was not. He was not gone at all, and it's just a matter of Dardoch able to keep up with the flat. The crushing blow is there, and then this. When I saw Dardoch waiting around this corner, I was like, there's no way. But, I mean, the Wish comes through, the Conqueror is stacking up, he gets a lot of damage down, and if Dardoch got one more heal off, or even the E, that was going to be enough, but
Get him,
there's a bear. There's a bear.
Get him!
Slap!
Boom! Oh, wait, there's one more. There we go.
Does that still count as a flash bear slap?
A flash and a bear slap did occur, just not
in that order. You know, they were a little bit disjointed, but already Dardoch, once again, looking to force Winnie away from an upcoming Rift Herald.
Spawning soon. Let's see where Winnie actually going to be placing that Shelly. It is in the top side of the map, so AIRREN will finally get that final plate for Dardoch and Daption. Gonna try and contest this Herald. Might not actually be able to get that Dardoch.
It's not gonna crash. It's not gonna crash at all, and losing out on that potential money is going to be hurting here for SLU. It is still a 3,000 gold lead going over to UST, and now that Shogo's gotten all this extra money, look how much more gold, more items he has as compared to AIRREN. He's got a noon, he's already got the Gale Force and the BF Sword compared to just a noon quiver and components. And now Dardoch, this is a tough dive. There are 3 people here.
It's a 3v3. I don't know if
Robbie's coming.
Does he know that he's being spotted on the ward? Perhaps not. Doesn't really matter. Just the ability for UST to flex their muscles a little bit gets Shogo another plate, and will likely get them more with SLU now being forced out.
Yeah, exactly. With RobbyBob coming over and Strompest going for a reset, it is going to be giving over so much more money to Shogo. He got all 5 plates down in the bottom side of the map. He's going to be getting at least 3 plates here on the top side. If he can get it just before the 14-minute mark, yeah, they finally make their way there. And so the Dragon's still waiting here for UST. They don't even need to necessarily take it just because they just want to kind of go for fights. They can't force SLU to come to them towards the Dragon. It feels almost like wasted time for them. And now, again, we kind of touched on potential win condition from before for SLU was really... Oh, fighting Dardoch.
Could be a start. Glacial Prison is available, but Dardoch's just going to be able to escape. The turret also completed by Shogo, so it is just another addition to the massive gold lead that UST possess.
Yeah, and you're seeing already that AIRREN kind of being forced to go towards the Kraken Slayer as well, right? It does a lot more damage, but it is giving up a little bit of safety, and considering the players that he's actually going to be fighting up against, in particular Dardoch, he's really going to have to be relying on SkyTec to try and keep them alive. But look at the item differential that's already come through. Again, even the support role. Daption, with the Moonstone completed, SkyTec will not have that, and as Dardoch starts tussling here with Winnie, I mean, there is a Rift Herald available, but if UST can bring all their guns to bear, there's not really a way for SLU to fight them.
You just get the mid tower anyway if you're UST. Don't really care about fighting for that objective just yet. Shogo being very, very threatening on the front side there for just a second. But SLU able to clear the wave out, and UST comfortable with just keeping their opponents in mid lane.
Yeah, and now the fact that the Dragon has not been taken is starting to matter a little bit more as the objective bounties do actually spawn here for SLU. If they can go for a trade, if they can get one, I mean, that's going to be absolutely a worthwhile opportunity for them, but they have to back everyone away, right? Vital is on the bottom side of the map. He doesn't have teleport, whereas Porsche does have that available. And now we see SLU. They're starting up the Dragon a little bit, but in UST, potentially going for a trade, but they instantly pivot.
Yep, Dardoch's going to be able to get there in time, and Porsche trying to engage before the rest of the cavalry arrive. The Glacial Prison does land in onto Shogo, but there's no follow-up from SLU. It is full Dragon retreat out of the blue team, and they're not going to be able to start this one up.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff from UST. They know that SLU wants to go for a trade. They deny it, and UST have enough left over tempo to even go for this push here in the mid lane and take another turn.
3-0. All of the outer layers of protection have been taken down by UST. They already have the first dragon in the game. Not going to prioritize stacking the soul because they want to end the game quicker than the ability to get that fourth Drake.
And so I kind of want to take a little bit of time to kind of praise Dardoch, right? You know, we saw him come through very confident in a couple of the interviews that he has given us already, but we're starting to see exactly why. And having talked with some of their other players as well, there's like, yeah, this guy is so confident in his ability to even continue to play in LCS that anything less that he was saying of the championship was not going to be good enough. He holds himself to that high of a standard compared to everyone here. And I mean, he's smashing game one. The big question will be, can they convert? We did see a little bit of trouble yesterday with Maryville's game one. They had a huge lead, and it took them a little while to actually close this one out. Will UST be able to do that a little bit better?
I mean, it is the first game that both these teams are playing on the stage, so it always takes some time to settle in, right?
Yeah.
For these guys, make sure that they get off the aggressive plays that they are looking for. And we saw that Maryville was very slow and concerted in their efforts to lock down Winthrop and make sure that they didn't
figured it out by game two. They figured it out. They were very, very aggressive in game two onwards. And now US2 is still going for this dragon. They are going to be picking up, denying another bounty. We can see a Strompest up on the top side, right? You are scrounging for gold. You're looking around. You're picking over rocks, seeing whatever you can to get any money back in the game. They do actually get the objective bounty up towards the top side, going over towards Strompest, but they're still not able to find a whole lot of extra pressure. And this is one of the things that we kind of need to be I don't want to say worried about, but very cognizant of for UST, is that their engage tools is mostly Dardoch going for flanks. They don't have easy ways to necessarily get fights started, so they are kind of forcing themselves into playing this map. And by dropping the Riptail down on the other side of the map, that's 2 kills split between 3 people at this point. And Winnie is still farming Crux.
And it might get another proc onto the tier 3 as well. Strompest and SkyTec finally arriving, but looks like the tier 3 just a couple of autos from going down, and UST playing very aggressive to try and take it out. Looks like, oh, just a sliver.
Just a sliver, and again, Winnie's still on the top side of the map. Now, RobbyBob is going to be under a bit of pressure. Just kidding. They do back away, and SLU, they have to call everything back.
Oh, they're looking for Robbie. Winnie landing the ulti, the rocket coming out as well, but not enough follow-up. Again, just seems like SLU on the back foot for what seems like the 10th or 11th time this game.
Yeah. And the other big thing, right, remember when we swapped lanes and both Vital and Porsche were, you know, struggling for crumbs? Porsche has been having a lot of time just kind of free farm off in the side lane, and Vital, well, yes, he's farming up. He's not necessarily in a position to help out the rest of his team anymore.
And this is what we were looking at for St. Louis. You know, Vital playing a lot of these carries, very comfortable on these fighters, but sometimes not able to get as big of a lead as you might hope if you're, you know, allocating a lot of resources towards the top side of the map. And so for St. Louis, you know, you see the 25 CS lead on Vital, but he's going to have to be a big part in, you know, trying to turn this game around.
Yeah. There's just not the damage yet, right? Again, Shogo has got the completed second item with the Infinity Edge and is up in Infinity Edge compared to a BF Store. They're both sitting on a Zeal as well. And so we start looking for the win conditions for SLU. I really want to look at Strompest in particular, right? This is one of the players who has been in the scene for so long, but he's still relatively young, right? He's a player who started playing at, like, I want to say like the age of 13, where he started hitting like the Challenger Series, and now as he's starting to come towards this, he is still looking for these opportunities to continue pushing himself. And the one worry I have is that Strompest has always been known as a control mage player. He's not necessarily been known as a flanker or an assassin player. And this is a time where he has to try and find some random bush to sit in to blow up someone like Shogo instantly.
You know, the anti-champion, definitely good for doing that. And now, looks like the rest of SLU in a good position though, but there comes a big stun, forcing a lot of ultis out of SLU. UST, they have the Baron on their minds. It looks like they're gonna start it up.
And with Vital with no ultimate, right, you were saying he needed to be a big part of his fight. The Porsche on the other side continuing to push, and it's so hard. Oh, he's got a flank!
He's got a weak landing in onto SkyTec, already taken down the root, nearly killing the support, but in comes a huge ulti. Turns the fighter out for SLU. Porsche Push trying to get out here with the ultimate, but Vital will run him down. A double kill for the St. Louis top laner, and what a turnaround. It's SLU headed to Baron.
It's so many different angles that SLU were able to take that fight from, and this is a huge turnaround in this game as SLU, they get all the kills, they get the Baron. Yes, they're going to be getting up the mid lane turret, but that is so much money in such a crucial spot. It's going over to Vital.
You mentioned Strompest right before that fight began. Needed to pull the trigger, needed to find some angle for St. Louis University. And we see here on the replay, what a beautiful find.
Watch this angle that they are able to find, right? It feels as though they're getting pushed away, but AIRREN and Strompest, there is no threat to this backline, and he jumps in, instantly kills 3 people, and AIRREN now starting to reset, and that's what we were saying needed to happen. You gotta get those resets off, and SLU put this game right back to even.
And just what a good fight out of Strompest, being able to find that opportunity. Shogo, though, remaining unkilled in that fight, and still the lead in gold in UST's favor, and a large part of that towards that marksman. So while it was a good find here for the blue team, they're going to need a little bit more to get back in the driver's seat.
One of the nice things about this one as well, though, is because all of these turrets are still up, right? You have the one here in the mid lane, you have the one down in the bottom lane. This Baron power play is going to get so much money so fast, and they go!
Oh, they got Shogo with the Glacial Prison. He has to flash away. Daption chunked down to about 60% as well. Mid lane priority now in the hands of St. Louis. They need to break open these tier 1s really, really quickly.
They're already grouped up really hard. They're also potentially looking for this upcoming dragon at the same time. That's going to chew into their Baron timer. At least they will have Winnie's ultimate back up relatively soon, way sooner than Shogo's flash will be up. But this is the comfort zone of the way that SLU like to play, of the way that this organization and this composition want to play. Winnie and Strompest can both wait in these bushes in the fog of war, daring UST to come fight them.
And now they're the ones with priority around the Dragon Pit. They'll be able to secure this, but now look at UST. That mid lane tier 2 is very, very low. They'll secure that for themselves. Not as many structures taken for SLU as we might have liked to see.
Still have a minute left on the Baron, but as you can see, it was, nearly 2,000 gold Baron power play, and it's been cut in half. Only 1,000. They're still sitting around 2K behind as SLU take away some of the jungle. Like you're saying, not as many turrets as we were hoping for. This kind of Baron this early on can be a huge gold swing with all the standing gold. I think now as they finally impact the turret, they should get 1, but I was hoping for at least 2.
And maybe even more than that, right? Those inner turrets in the side lanes get a lot more gold than any of the other structures on the map, but it doesn't look like they will be broken open on this Baron power play. Still though, it is St. Louis buying a little bit more time. See that AIRREN now has been able to pick up his Infinity Edge, working towards that third item. Almost being able to match pound for pound with Shogo.
Almost, and this is going to be one of Jinx's biggest power spikes, right? When you hit that Infinity Edge, you're doing so much extra damage. You still have Lulu providing that extra bit of shielding, the extra bit of movement speed, and the attack speed that will really allow AIRREN to pop off. But we go back to what we looked at before. Strompest had a massive ultimate in the previous fight, and as one of the most veteran players here, it is going to be on Strompest and Winnie once again to try and set up these battle lines so that AIRREN and SkyTec can continue to fire. And now they have control in the mid lane, even though it is towards the end of the Baron. Because of where UST is, this should be another turret.
Yeah, I mean, you see Porsche, Dardoch, Daption even still on the bot side of the map. It is this structure going down, so
that's gonna be 2.
All things considered, you did get the 2, albeit a little bit delayed, and now moving into the inner tower as well. Porsche coming in with the TP. UST want to fight this 5-on-5. They do have AIRREN reset at the moment. They need to make sure that they get excited times out before UST engages.
I really wanted SLU to run top lane. You see that big wave that's crashing here on the other side, but they're instead going to be going for a fight in the mid lane. Again, go for anything.
Strompest needs to be the one to find the engage. You see him hovering there, the stun available upon his next spell, but doesn't look like St. Louis have anything to fight for, so they'll go back to the base and reap their rewards.
Yeah, and now the gold lead less than 1,000 for the first time since we saw UST really take control. And I'm pretty sure, Gramps, that we're starting to look at this, right? We were saying it's going to be either a very fast 3-0 from UST or a tightly contested series. I think we're in for the second.
It looked for a little bit like we might have been going for that 3-0, but St. Louis coming back and coming back strong.
They're scrappy, right? This is what they were doing, right? In particular, Winnie and SkyTec on AoE in the Challengers League this past split were so good at winning games they weren't supposed to. They would find themselves 4, 5, 6,000 gold down, but they would just go for these crazy fights. And now Trying to do it again, and Winnie, as we've said so many times, he loves going for these different fights. He loves getting things started, and he's got so much faith in the rest of the team. They
caught Shogo, already forced to cleanse, the Gale Force utilized as well. Daption can stop the might of St. Louis University. They're 4v5 right now. Porsche taking a lot of the rockets out of AIRREN. Vital in the backside with the Ragnarok. Only the 1 kill, but it is a big kill for St. Louis University.
It's a huge kill. There's no wave clear now. RobbyBob has to back off. Strompest, I mean, he just throws down the Baron. He knows if he kills Daption, that is going to be even more, but they don't have the wave right now. They don't have a Baron to go for. So this is just going to be a lot of gold that goes over towards the side of SLU, and they can reset with it to go for the Baron. And for the first time this game, they're ahead.
If you took these teams and made them play against each other, maybe even just a couple of months ago, I think UST probably run the floor with St. Louis, but they've had the last couple of weeks to come together in St. Louis. The camaraderie has been incredible between these 5 players, and they're showing, even though it fell behind a little bit, they're able to punch right back.
Vital running across Dardoch. Yeah, I mean, the last time that SLU was able to take down UST, it did come at the time when they were playing with Dox in the mid lane and Strompest up in top, and Vital hadn't yet joined the organization, but I love this delay. That's the second time Dardoch has stopped Vital from backing away from actually getting the gold. They're stopping him again!
And now might even get the kill. Vital already chunked down to about 500 HP. That might be enough for UST to turn their sights towards Baron.
That's ridiculous, right? Vital stopped 3 times in a row, not going inside the base to back away, and now he's going to be late to this fight. This is a tough spot. Winnie's the only person here in time.
As the ulti has to get in somehow, some way. Shogo in the back of the Baron pit, keeping himself safe. Dardoch issuing the Cyclone. Wild growth onto this big stun, a big bear out of Strompest and AIRREN rockets. Porsche, the main target right now. Vital finally arriving back into the fight. Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. The flash forward out of Vital. RobbyBob in a lot of trouble. And RobbyBob goes down to the shotgun. Now goes Vital's way. And now AIRREN's excited. AIRREN's looking to finish the kills. AIRREN's looking to finish the game. 2-0 St. Louis, and UST still on the run.
Oh my god, they're looking for even more. AIRREN finding another one.
Here we go. There it is. It is a trade 1-for-1. Winnie crucially goes down. Might make it harder for SLU to go towards the Baron. But we can see they are so confident in finding these fights. They've won 3 in a row at this point.
They've won 3 in a row, and so much of it comes off the fact they're playing beautifully around this Jinx. They're finding the pocket, and AIRREN and Strompest untouched in a fight yet again. They're going to be starting up the Baron right here on Shogo. I mean, this guy doesn't have a smite. He's coming around. He and Daption. Are these guys Danny? Is this Danny?
Oh no, it might just be low health bars here on the solo laners of SLU. Crucially, the Q misses here from Shogo. Green and purple guns can still do a lot of damage. The Baron will be taken down, but now SLU have to get out safely. And Vital might be caught out just a little bit, but here comes RobbyBob off the teleport, forcing a flash out of AIRREN. SkyTec in a lot of trouble as well. The Wild Growth popped onto himself, and SkyTec will live.
But do they get out? Vital's still running away. He's got the empowered recall. He's getting chased down. Shogo.
Shogo doing a lot of damage. They're going to force the flash away. Shogo will take him down. That was way too close for comfort.
Wow, that's what happens when you get right up in the melee range with an Olaf. But the rocket comes through. Takes down Daption from downtown. We still got a fight. It's going to be a 4v4 coming around this dragon too, and Shogo's on the wrong side of the map. SLU going for fight after fight. And we said it was going to be so much about winning, but it has been so much about an unexpected choice. It's been AIRREN constantly finding himself in a perfect position. He's only got 1 kill, but he's barely being touched in these fights at all. UST is not creating pressure to put him in an uncomfortable position. It's allowing SLU's comp to work exactly as they wanted it to.
And AIRREN, somebody who is so happy to be here on the Riot Games arena stage. You know, last year on Grandview was just so close from missing out on making it here, but you can take a look at this fight. Look at the positioning, just doing so much damage without being touched.
Yeah, and Winnie's so tanky at this point as well. AIRREN, I mean, he's not touched. There has been no damage done to this AD carry at all, and by the time UST kind of regroup around here, they are not able to get through the choke point. They are trying to all get through at the same time, and Dardoch just gets blown up. I'm honestly a little bit surprised there weren't even more deaths here for UST, and that kind of just goes to how strong Soraka is in terms of shutting down all of these plays. But still, SLU in a dominant performance, or a dominant position all of a sudden, and so the question will be, can they continue it, right?
Let's go, Vital! And the one who had the advantage for SLU at the start of the game and really taking control, the space that he was able to build for AIRREN. I mean, we talk about AIRREN having good positioning. A large part of it is because of the Olaf.
so much of it now as Vital is splitting the map a little bit. Dardoch knows he's trying to find something off of a potential flank. He knows they cannot afford to let AIRREN go untouched yet again, but he's got the Ghost up, he's got the Wild Growth, he's got so much support coming through from SkyTec and SLU. They can play multiple lanes all at the same time. The wave clip from Robbie, it's not bad, but it's still going up against Baron minions and Shogo.
Oh my god!
Rocket? No.
That crit really hurt right there. And now Dardoch trying to find something. A rocket lands on the Shogo, but only going to chunk him about half HP as he returns back to base. Inhibitor tower in the top lane. Now the target for SLU. And winnie is looking for an ulti, looking for a start to this fight.
Oh, winnie. They're trying to force down this inhibitor as well. He's taking a lot of damage, though. Not be enough to dissuade them from actually going for the objective.
And Daption is helping UST keep themselves healthy here around this inhibitor. And now they have the HP advantage to try to start this fight up on the backside. Vital chunks to about 40%, but is the Olaf, still can burst people down. Strompest doing a good job to avoid this flank.
And the Baron has run out. Now Dardoch feels way more comfortable going for some of these fights. And all of the ultimates are available on both sides of the map. But UST, they have to be very careful, right? It's so good for SLU to take this defensive spot. Oh! He's fine. He goes.
Okay.
Man,
and now actually look at the turnaround here. Watch Dardoch on the backside. A W over the wall could secure a really big ultimate onto multiple members. Now winnie is in a whole lot of trouble, has to flash away. Shogo has great guns for this fight if UST is able to find an angle. Here comes Dardoch. Strompest on the Strompest. Nice stopwatch to prevent the Moonlight Vigil from landing. But now the fight's erupted. Strompest flashes into the backside. The first kill goes the way of UST. SLU have to get out, and they have to get out fast.
I like the idea coming from Strompest. He knows if they take down Daption, that is so much effective HP, so much effective tanking is already taken away from UST, but not enough burst all on his own. It forces SLU to go for a full-on retreat with no objectives for 2 minutes. SLU still in a very dominant position. They've opened up the top side of the map to potentially find things, but UST, this is dangerous.
Pushing. Vital has healed up quite a bit. Nice use of the blast cone to keep Porsche away. Gold lead now 2,000 in their side, but it's still UST putting up a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is a scrappy game I was looking for. This is a little bit closer to what I was expecting, right? Both junglers just jockeying for position. Both AD carries actually still looking for these big spots. But the one thing I do kind of want to point out, right? Because we've spent so much time talking about AIRREN for the past couple of minutes, Shogo got 4 items.
That's right. Runons.
Yeah, this guy is super, super strong. He's still scaling into crazy amounts. He's still got the Soraka behind him. But the one thing is Shogo has not had the opportunity to free fire. He's constantly being forced to kite back, whereas AIRREN is slowly able to walk forward in every single one of these fights. And as we start looking towards this next Dragon Graves, this could be where the game is decided. It's gonna be the 3rd dragon for either side, so that doesn't matter. But you don't want to be giving over any of these free objectives at this point in the game. You got to get there first. You got to set up. You got to make sure that AD carry is not comfortable walking into the fight.
And over the last few minutes, the team that has found those advantages, found those angles, is actually St. Louis. You know, winnie doing a really good job finding these ultimates onto Shogo, onto RobbyBob, and AIRREN and Strompest dishing out huge damage as well. The front to back, really good for SLU, and if they're in a good position, it's harder, as you mentioned earlier, for UST to engage.
And Dardoch having to be on the top side of the map, not really able to get in all that easily, is creating a tough spot for UST to actually go for some of these engages. And I really want to see, I hope we get a tweet after this game if SLU win of SkyTec, talking about Twitter. So far, SLU, they're going for a bit of a route. They're trying to make sure this blue buff is uncomfortable. They are in a dominant position to prevent UST from walking in. They know exactly where Dardoch is.
And because they know where Dardoch is, it's so hard for the Celts to start a bit of a fight. winnie trying his best to pressure Porsche and the rest of UST marching forward front to back. The dragon has been started up.
Where's the smite?
Found his way into the pit. Scout of the week lands in on the Vital. And the huge stun comes out from winnie as well. But Porsche looking to buy something, but AIRREN is still left untouched. Here comes Vital from the backside. Oh! The first kill, and now AIRREN here to clean things up. Strompest picks up the second kill. The dragon belongs to St. Louis University.
What a crazy fight. Once again, it's all about the AD carries, and now AIRREN trying to find his way in.
RobbyBob's in a lot of trouble right now. Has to flash over the wall. Shogo still at full HP. White and purple guns, not the best from long range, so it will be UST backing up. Baron is up, and I think St. Louis can probably go for this. Dardoch's down for another 30 seconds.
Yeah, and that tells us so much about the rest of the game, right? When both Jinx and Aphelios are killing their target at the same time, Jinx gets so much more benefit from that, and now Robbie still has the ultimate. Who can he hit with it?
Strompest is a key target here. Doesn't have the flash. Here comes Shogo! Not able to take the mid laner down, but it looks like the game is going to fall to the might of Shogo. Baron to UST. They found the turn that they need.
Oh my gosh, we asked if they were Danny the first time. This time they are going to, and he's even waiting here. Just kidding, Porsche doesn't get it. But they find everybody else, and now SkyTec on the run. Not going to be able to stay alive for that one. And a great turnaround coming in from UST. We were asking when Shogo would come alive, and is right here in the 11th hour for UST. And Grapes were still in game one. There's so much that these two AD carries have been showing us. They were able to push AIRREN out of the pit.
And even now, I don't even know if UST
Okay,
are in a
Porsche.
position to win this game just yet. They're looking to push down mid. 17 seconds on AIRREN, 25 on Strompest. It is just final up.
This is it.
Here comes the final push. They're waiting for AIRREN and Winnie. That could maybe be enough to try and stop this in end of the game. Dardoch already caught by Vital, but the rest of UST is hitting on to the
Here's
Nexus
Winnie.
turrets. The Nexus is now exposed. AIRREN needs to have a huge fight to save this game, but it's not going to happen. Everybody on UST is marching forward, and the defending champs strike first in game one.
What a crazy game. Oh, the look of relief there on Daption's face, as well as St. Thomas is, in fact, able to close that one out. It looked like AIRREN's game for so much. It looked like AIRREN was poised to win that one. But at the end of the day, it's the main character here for UST, self-proclaimed, saying, I am all ready to go. I'm going to step up. I'm going to take this first game down. St. Thomas gets one.
I mean, we're hyping up Shogo on that fight, but RobbyBob as well.
RobbyBob.
Those scatter the weeks to try and lock down St. Louis, allowing for Shogo to finish off those kills. He had a great game as well.
Fantastic stuff. And this is going to be, I hope we get 4 more games of this, right? Back and forth slugfest between these two teams. It starts with an invade. It turns into these crazy team fights. And there's been so much between these two teams that we know we're going to be having a fantastic series.
Yeah, I mean, we saw yesterday, Maryville and Winthrop. You know, they played competitive games, but it was Maryville that came away in the sweep. And the UST team is the favorite still, and they take game one. Let's take a look at this last fight. Watch Shogo and especially RobbyBob with these scatters.
Yeah, I mean, just the way that they're able to play so aggressively here, right? He knows if he gets that first kill and is able to get out, he just needs a sliver of health for Daption to keep them up. And then RobbyBob, he's got the movement speed. He can just chase after these guys immediately afterwards.
The max range scatter to finish off Compass as well. And that kind of just sealed the deal. The death timers were too long, and UST just marched straight down mid and ended the game.
Yeah, and with the teleport as well. I mean, great stuff coming through from UST, right? Their ability to move around the map towards the end and just clutch out. I think that might really be the difference, right? We were saying that SLU might not have the same clutch factor that UST does, and we definitely saw it in this game one.
Well, hopefully we get 4 more games of that, am I right? I mean, UST putting up a big fight, but St. Louis doing pretty well as well. Let's head on over to the rec room to see if Cubby is working on his putting form.
That's a golf reference.
I know golf.
Thank you very much, Grapes. Welcome back to the rec room. How was your putting?
I don't know, man. I guess it was fine. Where are my props? Come on.
I don't know, man.
Someone get him his clubs, man.
You bring your sticks?
No, my sticks are not here. Well, either way, hopefully your putting form is a little bit more direct and clear than that victory there for UST as they take game number 1. But it was anything but dominant other than maybe the first 18 minutes, right? Like, it felt like they were in control of a lot of this game until, as we could see it here on the replay.
And this is something we were kind of hinting at when it came to the series, and that is Shogo versus AIRREN. AIRREN had some really nice moments in this game, but in lane, giving that counter pick to Daption, Shogo and Daption were able to conquer the first 3 waves. Dardoch came to support the dive, and the overextension trying to find Daption. That actually ended up being a huge lead for Shogo and UST until things got a little bit interesting in the mid-game.
Yeah, things did get a little interesting, Cubby, because we were sitting here saying, like, this game's over, UST has played perfectly to their win condition, and then things get a little dicey when they just funnel into a choke point against an Annie for some reason or another. So UST, they decide to start up the Baron, and they get good cooldowns. Vital says, all right, or rather, Porsche says, all right, guys, time to go, but watch Strompest get in here with the AoE and take everybody down. I mean, SLU, you can't underestimate the team fight power of the composition that they had, and UST, I think they learned their lesson here.
This was a pretty brutal mistake from UST just because Wukong ult was down, Syndra ult was down.
Yep.
Why are we funneling into a choke to push for Lulu?
Yeah.
I want to give props to AIRREN. It was a really good setup for him at the back half of the choke. He had the chompers on the TP and was able to turn it from there. And that made this game 1 really interesting, actually.
Yeah, because after that, we go back to yet another Baron fight for SLU, who on the top side of the map. Then you get to see this Jinx clean on up, and it's a huge, huge undertow from that man right there that got stunned.
Now, I actually want to give SLU a lot of credit because their comp, they had double Radiant Virtues, and if they were just side laning, then you could have Olaf with no TP, you know, stranded somewhere. Instead, if they just group as 5, use the double Radiant Virtues, which they UST had none, you can actually see some of the healing that comes in. I mean, look at how much health Winnie has throughout this with the Wild Growth, the Lulu Shields, the Radiant Virtues. It buys time for Vital to get back, and throughout all this, AIRREN's just untouched and able to live out the dream on Jinx, which is just playing janitor.
And that goes to show as well, we were talking about strong bottom lanes in this tournament, even though I think Shogo was a huge performer in this game for University of St. Thomas. Definitely a big reason why they won. AIRREN still stepped up in a lot of the critical moments, such as the one on screen. Sadly, it just wasn't enough. SLU made mistakes of their own in the later stages.
I mean, unfortunately, stepped up at the wrong time in the next fight we have coming up. But yeah.
It is one of those things that happens all the time in League of Legends. You get back into the game because of a Baron throw, and the game ends because of a Baron throw. The Baron giveth, and the Bareth take it away on this last team fight here. SLU trying to advance after winning a team fight of their own, but, you know, 200 years is a lot of years here for Aphelios and the main man for UST.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time, right? Hey, guys, we want to fight. Let's do the Baron. Shogo, though, really taking over this fight. Robbie as well, assassinating the big carry of SLU. And with the head of the snake cut off, UST, they're able to run this over. And the game just ends off of this, by the way. Let's not forget that we were more than 35 minutes into this game. Death timers were very long by the time this fight happened. And so SLU wasn't able to hold on.
Remember, kids, just reset sometimes, you know? You want to fight,
hit the B button
take your candy,
keyboard.
don't risk it all.
Well, and that's the thing. With SLU, there were multiple times with Baron, they used their first Baron to slowly get back in the game. They didn't bite off too much. The second Baron they had, they went to the top side of the map. That's where Strompest got a little bit of caught. And now that third time, they're like, okay, we've learned our lesson. We're trying to figure out how much to push and pull. And they end up not being able to get the Baron and clearing things out here, as you see on your screen. St. Louis picking the red side. Very, very peculiar there, Cubby.
I gotta say, this is where, if I'm SLU, I'm thankful I have a player like Winnie. You can see the players afterwards, like they stand on the stage for a little bit. That's not a game that like you want to lose in a series, because that was a game that, for me, SLU had pretty much won if they're able to reset, get control of the Baron again. That's a tough loss. You feel like that one's stolen away from you, but Winnie, he walked off first. You can see him talking the most. He's level-headed. He's going to lead his team. Yeah, a little bit of it is live and die by the Winnie, but part of why he has the right to be the leader like that is because he has the head to reset a team. He has the experience to be like, all right, you know what? That game sucked. We should not have dropped that game. That game feels like a crime to lose if you're SLU. Go back, reset, see what happens in the rest of the series. I think that's where having someone like Winnie in the roster really valuable for these guys.
Well, don't forget the first, like, again, 15 to 18 minutes, Winnie felt pretty stunted. It was the Dardoch show wherever he went here, Hawk.
Yeah, Dardoch really stepped up. I mean, again, we were saying for the first 20 minutes of the game or whatever that UST were doing exactly what we said they would do. Dardoch played towards Shogo. The two of them were popping off. It was their game to lose. Well, they almost did, but they were able to hang on and keep things together. But it's just an interesting conversation because SLU was able to fight back in that game. And is this like a concern for UST? To me, it is a little bit. And maybe the nerves on stage, I don't know, they just felt too confident. But they did manage to still put the W in the column at the end of that game. Hopefully they can reset for it.
I will take the early game win. They for sure overextended, but they tried to hit a 20-minute Baron and then turned to fight where they walked through a choke against Danny where they had ults down. I think that that's a game one, you know, mistake that you can just get out of the way.
Right.
And it was a sloppy game one from both teams, but I mean, they have an opportunity to clean things up. And I think that, again, this is just where having leaders like Winnie and Dardoch in the building, it's so helpful because they've played so many of these games. It's like, hey guys, you know, crap happens on the stage.
Right.
You never know. It's fine. Just reset, play our game. We'll be all right.
Time to bounce back.
Well, game number one, heading on over to UST. And a reminder to everyone to come by the arena all week to support the best programs in the nation. Tickets are free and doors open at 11 a.m. So get those butts and seats, and we'll see you with game two after this short break.
They'll flash both. They'll flash both. I'm hitting Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu.
He's trolling. He's trolling.
Looking
They
good.
both
It's
flash,
looking
both
so
flash.
good. She's slowed. Oh, it's looking so good.
Good job, guys. Very well played.
It's a quick GG. Well played, guys.
Okay.
So.
That's fine.
Watch. Syndra.
Care feelings.
Keep going. I can axe. Wukong.
Goes Shogo, not able to take the mid laner down, but it looks like the team is going to fall to the might of Shogo. Baron to UST, they found the turn that they need.